Hello, hello. What's my favorite cube? Probably this one. Ocean fact. There is a part of the ocean called the Sargasso Sea that is just completely surrounded by more ocean, and the only reason why it's like distinguished from the rest of it is because it has this specific type of seaweed that only grows in that one section. And that section, as I recently found out, is actually where the alleged Bermuda Triangle is. Did I give a hammerhead shark fact? I did not. But I did look up hammerhead shark facts, but I have to like remember what I looked up, okay? I forgot it. I promise I will get back to you on that, and I will be really, really good at it. Because anytime I mess something up on live, or anytime I like don't know something on live, the next time I will never ever forget it. So, because right now I'm very embarrassed at having forgotten the hammerhead shark fact, so I will never ever forget it after I look it up again. You love my glasses? Thanks. I like them too. They help me see. Am I colorblind? I am not colorblind. I just made a video on colorblindness because people kept asking me about it. So I figured that I could make a video about it, and I did. What's my favorite fact to give? Maybe the sloth fact. I think it's funny that I just have this one recurring sloth fact. I think that's my favorite fact to give. Big frames for a big brain. That's funny. No, seriously, sometimes people are like, do you actually need those glasses, or are they just for aesthetics? No, I actually do need these. The lenses themselves are not that thick, but the frames are just large for the aesthetic. Am I good at math? I think I'm pretty good at math. I'm not like an expert, but I did well in my math classes when I was still taking math classes. Facts about social media is that social media is like scientifically proven to be linked with lower rates of self-esteem, specifically through the pathways of like poor body image, cyberbullying, kind of like all the things that you'd expect social media to be bad for you about, I guess. I'm getting roasted. I haven't even been saying it, sorry. I haven't even been paying attention to my own roasts. Why is evolution right and creation wrong? I feel like that's a loaded question just because people feel so strongly about it. I wouldn't so inflammatorily say creation is wrong, because I feel like that's just like, it's what people believe in, so I feel like it's better to respect people, but like, I personally have no reason to be like creation is the way to go necessarily, but if that's your religious beliefs, I don't want to be like creation is wrong, because like that's just unnecessarily rude. But evolution is something that we have, the scientific method has supported, and creation is something that religion supports. So if you don't believe in religion, or if you don't believe in science, then one of those is not going to make sense to you. Facts about spirits. I don't know anything about the paranormal spirits, but if we talk about like alcohol spirits, there's a fungus called the whiskey fungus that grows on the outside of whiskey distilleries, and it looks like this black sooty fungus. That comes from the fungus feeding on the whiskey that sort of evaporates off, and that's called the angel's share. So sort of a spirit and a spirit. Facts about space. Let's see. Rogue planets are planets that don't orbit any star, which is very odd to think about, because the only reason why Earth is in our particular rotation is because we rotate around the sun because of the sun's gravity. So like rogue planets, they're just like traipsing across the galaxy. Like, what are they doing? We don't know. Facts about Antarctica. I feel like there's a lot of facts about Antarctica that are mostly like, there is XYZ on every single continent except for Antarctica. Yeah, but there's penguins in Antarctica, but not in the Arctic. And there's polar bears in the Arctic, but not in Antarctica. How did I do that cube? It's just like a regular 3x3, but it just looks funny because it has mirrors and shapes instead of colors. Facts about dinosaurs. Tyrannosaurus rex teeth can be around the size of bananas. So real big teeth. Facts about each zodiac sign. I don't think that there's really science facts about astrology, but there's like belief, spirituality things about astrology. So I will refer you to somebody who knows more about astrology than I do. Neptune facts. I don't know that much about Neptune except for that it's named after the Roman god Neptune or the Greek god Poseidon. My random, completely unrelated to my career thing that I think would be so fun is like, I would love to be an actor or a model just for fun, but like my toxic trait is like, even though I've never taken any formal acting or modeling classes, I feel like I could just do it. I feel like I would just walk in and like be perfect, you know? That's my toxic trait. That's my completely irrational toxic trait. Do I know any facts about sharks? I sure do. My favorite little shark fact is that there's a cookie cutter shark that is so named because of its little circle-shaped bites, and I just think that's the cutest dang thing ever. Facts about the human body. Insulin is made in the pancreas, which is like sort of around your abdomen stomach area. And if you have specifically type 1 diabetes, that's the type of diabetes that I know the most about. If you have type 1 diabetes, then that means that your pancreas, the beta cells specifically in your pancreas, are not making insulin, and you need insulin to regulate your blood sugar. How do glasses improve vision? They sort of, long story short, focus the light in a way that your eye can process it clearly. So you have a standard, according to eye doctors, you have the standard 20/20 vision, which is like things that are 20 feet away, you see as clearly as people should see things that are 20 feet away. But if you have like bad vision, then you have like 20/40 vision, for example. That's like things that are 20 feet away, you see as clearly as things that should be 40 feet away. How did humans change or evolve over time? We developed from apes, and then we learned how to use tools, and then we really like started walking on 2 feet a lot. It's like the tools thing was really big, the agriculture thing was really big, yeah, and walking on 2 feet before that was bigger. Facts about orange juice. That's interesting. Okay, so like if you ever see things on an orange juice container that says like not from concentrate or from concentrate, so from concentrate means that the orange juice was sort of packaged and then I guess they evaporated off a little bit, so it just turns into like extremely concentrated orange, so like literally from concentrate. They ship it easier when it's less volume, so when it's concentrated, it's less volume, so it's easier to ship, less expensive to ship, and then they add more water to it to sell it to you, and that's unconcentrated. So like they concentrate it and then they rehydrate it and it's more volume, right? But I guess like people can imagine that the more processing you do, the less fresh it is, I guess. This is kind of me spitballing at this point, but it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out why people market not from concentrate as like a good thing. I guess it's because less processing means it's more fresh, which means it's more like true to the nature of your orange juice, I guess. But like if you see from concentrate on your orange juice bottle, then that's what that means. How do I know this? I actually asked my mom about it when I was like 7 and that just stuck in my head. Facts about cars is that we used to use sperm whale oil in automatic transmissions until the EPA, I guess, was like, hey, you can't do that. You can't kill whales to put in your automatic transmission for your car. And then the car manufacturers were like, okay, fine. So they started using different types of oil, but like the reason why they were using sperm whale oil is because like it was really good at doing what they wanted it to do. So there was a lot of accidents while they were trying to figure out what other oil to use besides whales. And then they finally figured out that jojoba oil, Jojoba oil, works pretty much as well. So that's what we use now, I think. What's my favorite electromagnetic wave? I love these kind of questions. This is very entertaining to me. I guess I really like ultraviolet because I imagine My favorite flower fact is that if you were a pollinator like a bee or something, you would be able to see ultraviolet stripes pretty much on flowers that signal to pollinators where to go to find the pollen. And I think that would be really cool if we could see ultraviolet radiation. I don't think it would actually be good for us, but I think it would be cool. My favorite Apollo mission, I don't know that much about space missions in general, so I am overall a very disappointing person to ask that question to. Do you know any facts about sharks? I do know facts about sharks. I shared a shark fact earlier about cookie cutter sharks, so if you want to catch up, look up cookie cutter sharks. But my other favorite fact about sharks that people are always like, what? Is that sharks have no bones, just cartilage. No bones. Every day is no bones day for them. Facts about neutron stars. If only I knew things about neutron stars, then I'd be unstoppable. I don't know anything about neutron stars, unfortunately. Are sharks actually blind? I don't think so. They might just have very poor vision, but I don't think every shark is blind. How are blankets made? It depends on the blanket. Like, you can knit one, you can weave one, you can manufacture one. Facts about raccoons is that they don't have opposable thumbs. Which is like a not fact about raccoons, but I think not facts are kind of a cop-out sometimes. But also in this case, I think it's interesting because they have little hands, but they have no opposable thumbs. Greenland sharks are blind, to your knowledge. Then that's my knowledge too. I don't know about Greenland sharks specifically. What's an opposable thumb? An opposable thumb is what we have, where you can take your thumb and like traverse it across your palm. Like, a dog does not have an opposable thumb because they can't get their little like paw thumb across their palm. Yeah. But yeah, opposable thumbs are like pretty specific to humans. Other creatures do have them, but it's kind of like a special adaptation of humans for sure. Greenland sharks aren't born blind. Typically, a parasite lives in their eyes, blinding them. Actually, I think I've heard that, so I'm gonna believe you. I'm gonna believe you just based on that comment. A cool neutron star fact is that a teaspoon of a neutron star would weigh roughly 10 million tons. That is very dense. What type of haircut is this? I don't know what it's called. I just showed my stylist what I wanted, and he was like, say no more. You love the humbleness when I don't know something. Yeah, I mean, the point of me doing all this is because I like science and I like facts. Not to be like I'm the smartest person alive. So I'm always happy when people can fact check me, and especially if I learn something from you guys. That's like my favorite state of matter. Yours is plasma. I have a little bit of beef with plasma just because like there's so much conflicting information on like what is and isn't plasma, and I think I know what plasma is, but every time I say what I think plasma is, there's somebody who comes in and is like so mad at me for like what I think plasma is, because they're like, you're so stupid, you're so wrong. And I'm like, okay, well then teach me better. And then they like don't teach me better. They are just mad at me. So I think plasma is cool, but I have a little bit of beef with it. But my actual favorite state of matter is probably liquid. I like water sounds, like waterfalls and rivers and lakes. That's the stuff. My favorite space nebula. Isn't there a horseshoe crab nebula? I like that solely for its name. Any facts about sea anemones? I feel like I should have some facts about sea anemones. I mean, the thing about in Finding Nemo, where clownfish live in sea anemones, that's real. For most animals, they would get stung by the sea anemone, but clownfish kind of have like this, I don't know if it's exactly a symbiotic relationship. I don't know if they do anything for the anemone to earn their place, for lack of a better term, but at least clownfish are not affected by the things that usually sting other animals. Facts about orangutans is that palm oil, if you ever see on like your food packaging sustainably harvested palm oil or anything like that, the reason why sustainable palm oil is a thing / an important thing is because the deforestation of palm in order to make palm oil is really bad for the environment, and it's bad specifically for orangutans. Like anything in that general habitat it's bad for, but like orangutans are kind of the poster child for sustainable palm harvesting, because like that's their home, and if you deforest then they don't have a home anymore. So orangutans, they depend on sustainable human practices to be able to stay alive, slash us to not mess up their habitat. What's a really cool symbiotic relationship? That is a great question. I feel like there's a lot of symbiotic relationships, but it's specifically that you said what is like a really cool one that I feel like requires a little bit more thinking. Actually, here's an addendum to the sloth fact that's a sort of potentially a symbiotic relationship. So my sloth fact, I'll tell the sloth fact and then I'll tell the symbiotic relationship fact. The sloth fact is that sloths are really slow boys and they can't really run away from predators. So they live most of their lives in trees, right? But one thing they do come off the tree for is to go poop. But they like come down off of the tree and they take like an hour to poop. So that leaves them vulnerable to predators. And unfortunately, more than half of all sloth deaths happen when they're on the ground. So that being said, I did look this up and like, why do sloths take an hour to poop? Why do they come off the tree if they're so vulnerable, right? So one thing that scientists theorize is that there's a specific type of moth that thrives / depends on in some way the sloth's poop. So they go down to the ground to make their poop more accessible to the moths. I don't know if that's proven in any way or documented in anything more than just good speculation, but yeah. Is alligators and birds a symbiotic relationship? Yes. So if you ever see those pictures of the alligators with their mouth open and the birds that are just hanging out on their teeth, that is like the quintessential symbiotic relationship where the birds are getting food off of the alligator's teeth, and the alligator is pretty much like getting a free dentist checkup, you know? So it's symbiotic because both work together and both benefit each other. So the alligator promises not to eat the birds get to eat the food and have kind of protection while they're inside the alligator's mouth, and the alligator gets their teeth cleaned. How do I know so much about stuff? I have been in the science world for a while and I'm just very interested in it, so my brain kind of remembers the stuff that I'm interested in, which happens to be science. That's the short version. The long version is that I listen to a lot of people talk and I read a lot and I'm very well educated, and I've been very privileged to have a very good education. So the things that I happen to be smart in are just the things that society also happens to deem as smart and valuable. So also luck and SciShow Tangents, which is Hank Green's podcast. Is IQ a knowledge or problem-solving thing? I think the actual IQ test is more of a problem-solving thing, or like critical thinking instead of like rote knowledge, but it's still like, it was made by a bunch of French people, so it's not like, I wouldn't say that it's universally applicable, even though it has sort of become that way. My point is that like people of different cultures have different ways of thinking about things, so one person's IQ test that they developed for themselves in their own population might not translate super well to other populations, which is like one of the main criticisms of IQ tests in general. But so that's why I kind of avoid talking about IQ too much. Facts about the dark. Ooh, interesting. Due to the fact that there is really, really little light at the bottom of the ocean, the kind of adaptations that you see at the bottom of the ocean, a lot of them have to do with like, how do we either generate light or absorb as much light as can possibly be reaching the bottom of the ocean. So you get like things like this one squid that has two different eyes. One is like this bulbous yellow eye and one's just kind of like a regular looking eye. And it literally evolved two different eyes so it could see things and also just capture as much light as possible. So darkness really leads to the craziest adaptations. Fun fact about chemistry. People always ask me what heavy water is. Heavy water is D2O instead of H2O, where D2O is like deuterium instead of hydrogen. And what deuterium is just a hydrogen molecule, hydrogen atom with a neutron in it. So it's heavy water because it literally is molecularly heavier. How would I measure someone's intelligence? I wouldn't, honestly. I just wouldn't. I feel like there's just so many different ways of conceiving intelligence, of thinking about it, and it's just so subjective also that it seems unnecessary and kind of, yeah, like unnecessarily judgmental to try to measure somebody else's intelligence, you know? It's like there's so many different ways to be intelligent, there's so many different things that people value. So I feel like measuring intelligence is just not something that I ever really think is important or necessary. Of course, many people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine, but that's my opinion. Am I solving? Yes, I am. I'm working on it. Is heavy water bad for you? It is not bad for you. It does not really have nutritional value, though interestingly, if you were to drink heavy water, it wouldn't hurt you really, but studies suggest that it may just slow down your circadian rhythm. So instead of naturally being on a 25-hour body clock, you might be on like a 36-hour body clock or something like that, which is just like really odd, really not necessarily expected. I don't know why that happens, but that's what happened in hamsters. Facts about pugs. Okay, here's the thing. I think pugs are so cute, but they are so unhealthy. Pugs just have so many problems anatomically. They have knee problems, they have breathing problems, but they're just so cute. It's just like, it's very upsetting how inhumane breeding a pug is. So why did we choose dogs and cats as normal and not cows or sheeps, etc.? Well, what do you mean by normal? Because we've definitely domesticated cows and sheep. We've artificially selected cows and sheep also to give us the traits that we want as much as we have with dogs and stuff. So we did domesticate all those animals, but for different things. So a cow and sheep don't fit in our bed. Yeah, that's true. You can't really snuggle a cow or a sheep. That's true. What if we bred cows to be our like companions, and like a hunting cow where you're like, go Betsy, and Betsy goes zun, 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 and goes like hunts a fox in the woods. Do I know any facts about amoebas? I kind of do. Facts about amoebas. The way that they eat is like, they kind of like creep around, they don't have any eyes, they don't have a brain, they just sense the chemistry around them, and they move based on chemical gradients, and they find food based on chemical gradients as well. And when they find food to eat, they engulf it. How does one not be pessimistic? It's all about mindset. So like, I'm not saying that you don't have any problems in your life, but mindset is a huge part of how bad those things feel, right? So there's different philosophies of how to work through negative thoughts and emotions, and one of them is like just reframing. Everything that happens to you can have a silver lining. It might not be immediately, it might not be like soon, but like all of them grant you opportunities that you wouldn't have had before. So like changing your focus on like either, oh my god, my life sucks, everything's terrible, I'm so sad, versus like, man, if I hadn't experienced this, then I wouldn't be as mindful about spending time with my family, or I wouldn't be as grateful for like my friends or something like that. Something less lame than that, but you know what I mean? Hank Green probably talks about amoeba and Journey to the Microcosmos. Probably. I would be surprised if they didn't. Hiccups? Hiccups are just diaphragm spasms. Put positives on every negative. Yeah, like there's a big difference between reframing your mindset and toxic positivity. In fact, like they're kind of complete opposites. Toxic positivity is like, don't think about negatives at all. It's just like, be happy, like be grateful. But like what I'm telling you to do is not to ignore the negative feelings, but to like process them, accept them, and move on. And just like take your time on the negative feelings and then move on when you have processed all of your feelings. Just your opinion, but at the end of the day, it's only you that can cure your sadness. Yeah, sort of. I mean, like, ultimately, your feelings are always your responsibility, like, always. But reaching out to your friends, letting your friends support you, and, like, building your community and feeling connected to your people is really important for also feeling happier. So don't isolate yourself when you're sad. It's like, it's a balance between knowing that your feelings are, at the end of the day, always your own responsibility, and your reactions are always your own responsibility, and also knowing that, like, isolating yourself tends to make things worse. So you just gotta lean on your support system and yourself. Thoughts on astrology. I think it's fun. People get really mad at me for thinking it's fun, but it's like, it literally hurts nobody, and it's just fun. Like, nobody's pretending that it's better than science or that it's the new scientific method. It's just like a fun thing to play with, but people get really mad at me when I say that I think it's fun. But that's okay. Get a speed cube, it will probably be better. What do you mean? This cube is perfect. It has no flaws, and it has never, like, gummed up on me ever. I don't know what you're talking about. Facts about eczema is that it's genetic and it never goes away, which is upsetting because I have it. So eczema is chronic, it's genetic, it never goes away, you can't really cure it. It's very upsetting. Do I believe in time travel? I don't believe in it really, as in I don't think it exists yet, but if it happens, then that would be super cool. But I think how we even conceive of time is not correct, really. I think that our whole concept of time is just it's a convenient way to think about time, but I don't think how we actually think about time is how time actually works, if that makes sense. So I don't think that we can accurately travel through something if we don't even know how it works in the first place. What's my favorite science fact? Honestly, what's my favorite science fact, or just like name any science fact, or like name a biology fact? Those kind of general questions are the hardest for me to answer. You can see that I'm waffling right now, right? I'm stalling because it's always so difficult for me to just like pull any fact out of thin air. But my favorite science fact is probably any fact that has to do with humans liking each other and humans being nice to each other. Like, I really like happiness studies. I really like any study that kind of emphasizes how we genuinely are happy to help each other, or any studies that involve babies being nice to each other. I like those a lot. Horse facts. Horse hooves are pretty much just big old toenails. Facts about otters is that they're very good at using tools. Are bears the only mammal that hibernate? I don't think so. But I'm also not even sure that bears actually hibernate. But I know that there's something weird either in the way that we're taught about bear hibernation, or like the fact that they hibernate at all. There's something weird going on with bears and hibernating, but I don't remember what it is. So that is an incomplete fact. Sorry. I try not to do that, but it's also like just the state of my brain. So more cat facts. Why are cat tongues so rough? Because they are literally like scratchy and spiny. Look up a microscopic view, or not even, it doesn't even have to be microscopic. You can literally see it with your naked eyes. Look at a cat's tongue really closely and you'll see that there's a bunch of spines looking things on it, and that's just why it's scratchy. It got spines. Am I into philosophy? Yeah, I like it. I think it's cool. Do I think aliens are real? People always ask me this. Nearly every single live, people ask me if I think aliens are real. And I just gotta say that until aliens are definitively proven to be real and actually interact... my camera angle is so bad. None of you guys told me. Until aliens are proven to be real and pressingly interacting with us, I don't think it's very interesting to think about them. Like, if they are real, I will have a healthy respect for them. But until they are real and pressingly going to be interacting with humans, there are more pressing things to be thinking about on our very own Earth. Giraffe facts and raccoon facts. Giraffe fact is that giraffe tongues are 20 inches long, which is a really, really, really long tongue. And raccoon facts is that raccoons have little rat hands, but no opposable thumbs. Facts about axolotls. My one little axolotl fact is that axolotls are a good model organism for developmental and regenerative biology. So there are several universities that have axolotl labs. So they just like breed axolotls and do research on them, and that's what they do. You used to be afraid of aliens? Honestly, valid. Afraid of the unknown is always valid. Piano facts, 88 keys. That's all, folks. Are scientists smart enough to make humans fly? We have airplanes, man. Should you take bio or econ? Both. Both are important for different reasons. Forensic science fact. Forensic science is super cool. It's mostly chemistry though. So if you want to be like a detective, you gotta be really, if you want to be a forensic scientist, you have to be really, really good at chemistry. You have to be able to know things like this chemical mixed with this chemical can like precipitate the proteins in a fingerprint and help us isolate fingerprints from glass, or things like flies and larva and maggot development can help you see how long a body has been deceased for, but it also changes depending on how the body died and like where the body was deposited. So there's a lot of chemistry, lots of chemistry, a little bit of physics involved in forensics. So facts about dopamine. Dopamine is the reward system in our brain. Mice are a really good model organism to study dopamine and the brain because their little brain has dopamine receptors that are very similar to the way that our brain dopamine receptors work. Can scientists mutate humans into a hybrid of an animal? It depends. When you say like mutate humans, to me that implies like changing their DNA. I don't think scientists can or should or would do that really in terms of like mutating humans to try to make like one part of it into like a pig or something, but we already kind of make animal human hybrids in different ways. For example, a lot of heart valve transplants involve pig hearts, pig valves. A lot of skin transplants, actually I don't know if skin transplants are ever xenografted, but like we use animal organs for human organ parts, stuff like that, where it's not really like you have a centaur or like you have a half human half lion monstrosity, but it's like we do mix human DNA and animal DNA for like different reasons. Do I know any coding languages? Boy howdy, do I ever. Yeah, I pretty much code as my daily job. I do biology research with coding and big data, so yes, I do know how to code. I like it. Piano should be classified as a percussion instrument. I think it is. Like, unironically, it already is. It's like a percussion instrument and it has strings inside it. So some people also argue that it should be a string instrument, but it's like definitively a percussion instrument. Describe my diet logically. I eat what I want and I eat enough. And that is the most logical diet you could ever have. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That was the live for tonight.